Today's meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order on Wednesday, March 24th. Welcome, everybody. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Agenda of today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance of chambers. Please remember to silence and turn off all cell phones. The Municipal Code Enforcement Board consists of 7 members who are appointed by City Council, and we serve voluntarily. It is this board's intentions to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Clearwater by providing this equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing certain codes within the city. The board considers new business items in 2 parts. First, the violation, and then affirmative relief. Formal rules of evidence do not apply. Each side is limited to 15 minutes, and the board may grant additional time as needed. All proceedings will be conducted in a civil and calm manner. Individuals who conduct themselves otherwise will be asked to leave. If necessary, they will be escorted from the chambers. Now I ask all who plan to speak today to rise and be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout your entire testimony? Thank you.
Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of last month's meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Minutes approved. Seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, minutes carry. Is there any citizens here to speak to items not on the agenda today? Moving right along. Next agenda item 4.1, new business items, case 24-21, find respondents Troy Nowak at 2403 Bigadoon Drive in violation of code for short-term rental, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anybody here for this case? No? Okay, board, if I may have a first.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
I'll second that.
First and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Ms. Phillips, thank you.
Julie Phillips, Home Inspection Specialist for the City of Clearwater. This property is currently in compliance, and I'll be requesting a declaration of violation.
Very nice, thank you. Board, if we can have a declaration?
Did you say, can you repeat the declaration of compliance or violation? I
The
don't hear.
property is
Like
currently
prior
in
meeting.
compliance, and I'm requesting a declaration of violation.
Okay.
Okay.
I move to find the
Wait.
respondent.
We need to withdraw the prior motion,
Okay,
and then do the declaration.
okay.
Okay.
So anybody can just do that, withdraw the first.
I'll make a motion to eliminate the prior motion.
You good with that?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, and then we can
Second.
read the declaration.
Okay. I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay, first and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Ms. Phillips. 4.2, case 2521, find respondents Gilbert Melendez at 1950 Nugget Drive in violation of code for short-term rental, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is this a
This
declaration?
property is also in compliance, so I'll also be requesting a declaration of violation.
Beautiful, thank you. Board, if we can have a
I move
declaration?
to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 4.3, case 2621, find respondents Elin 415 LLC at 415 Island Way in violation of code for temporary signs and prohibited signage, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met.
I will also be seeking a declaration of violation for this case.
Very nice. You guys are making it too easy on us today. That's
Well, I'll just keep going.
nice to hear. Thank you.
That's your baby.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 4.4, case 2721, fine respondents Jazzy's Barbecue, Inc. at 1575 South Fort Harrison Ave in violation of code for business tax receipt, and issue an order within the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met.
Compliance has been met at this property as well, and we are also seeking a declaration of violation.
Very nice.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. 4.6, case 2921, find respondents M2I LLC at 1326 Pierce Street in violation of code for exterior storage, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met.
This will also be a declaration violation, please.
All right, I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day a violation continues to exist.
Seconded.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. 4.7, case 3021, find respondents Will Raymond Abreu at 115 South San Remo Avenue in violation of code for residential grass parking, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met.
I will be requesting a declaration of violation for this property as well. Thank you.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
I second it.
Motion is made, seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I do want to thank you, staff, for, obviously, we're sitting here and we're moving through these so fast, but there is a lot of work that goes on in the background to make this happen, and a lot of communication. So I tip my hat, and I know the whole board does, to you for commending you on your job that you're doing and communicating and solving these so that we don't have to. So thank you for doing your job so well.
Thank you.
It's appreciated. Case 4.11, case 3421, find respondents IBP Funding, Inc. at 401 South Fort Harrison Avenue in violation of code for exterior surfaces, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met.
This property also came into compliance, and another declaration of violation.
Very nice.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may enter a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
I second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 4.13, case 4721, find respondents Patricia DePriest at 1631 Tuscola Road in violation of code for exterior surfaces, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. There we go. We got one. Is anyone here to speak to this case? Yes, ma'am. Can you please step forward for us and state your name once you get up there for the record?
Patricia DePriest.
Hi, Patricia. Do you admit to the violation?
Yes.
You do? Okay, no problem. That's just how this works. What we're going to have you do is is there a seat up front that you can sit in? We'll let the city do their presentation, and then we'll call you up to make sure we're all on the same page and understanding. Thank you so much for being here today.
Chairman, we have two, the next two are her.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that, I don't know if there's an admission for the second violation too. We can deal with them separately, yeah, okay.
Separately? Okay. Mr. Turre?
Are we to take the first vote on the admission?
Okay, so we'll have a motion, first motion.
Sorry. Something here. I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in the case.
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Inspector Yusef Toure, here for 1631 Tuscola Road, case number 47-21. The violations of this property is only one, code section 3-1502.b, exterior surfaces, rotten surface boards, fascia boards, and peeling paint. The notices of violations were sent out on February 5th, 2019, and February 11, 2021. The compliance date was for March 11, 2021. The first certified mail was unclaimed. It came back, and the second one that I sent out on February 11, 2021 came back on February 13, 2021. The notice of violation was hand-delivered on March 17, 2021. This is just a history of the violations. It dates back. The first notice of violations was sent out on September 30th, 2008. And a board hearing was held on November 19, 2008. The compliance date was for December 29, 2008. Since the property was liened, since compliance was not met, a lien of $150 per day was issued by the board on February 4th, 2009. And a notice to appear, NTAs. The lien at this point had reached the amount of $492,598.84 without attention from the owner. And by November 28, 2017, the Code Enforcement Division requested the board to put a stop to the daily fines and resorted to writing NTAs, which resulted to the lien being fixed at the above amount. Between the months of March and April of 2018, a total number of 6 NTAs were issued, all of which either Ms. DePriest pled no contest or was adjudicated guilty of. Foreclosure. A foreclosure on the property was requested on December 6, 2018 and approved on February 20th, 2020, with terms that the property be brought into compliance and for Ms. DePriest to pay an amount of $15,000 within a period of 150 days, or agreed to consent to a foreclosure judgment of $25,000. As of yet, the property has not been brought into compliance. This is the address. This picture was taken on February 4, 2019. And this is the eastern end of the house. As you can see, the boards there are rotted. Here's another picture taken the same date. Rotted. This was on the western side. And here also on the western side, same date. These are all pictures just showing the condition of the property. 10/24/2019, I went back and took more pictures and still nothing was done. Same date, 10/24/2019, same condition. And I went back in February of this year, 24th February 2020, the property is still in the same condition. This picture was taken the same date.
Inspector, is there a neighbor here who wishes?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, as part of the inspector's case in chief, we would like to introduce the testimony of Ken Sasso, who's the neighbor of Mr. Priest. If that's all
Okay,
right.
absolutely. Does the board before have any questions for Mr. Toure? So we don't, play hopscotch and go back and forth? Are there utilities on this house?
Yes.
Water and
Last
electricity?
time I checked, there were utilities.
And my next question is answered by itself with the next case, because I would ask, is it a safe building to reside in? And it looks like that comes up there, so we'll skip that question. If there's no questions from the board, then we'll have the neighbor want to come up and briefly give your name for the record. you, sir. How are you? State your name clearly for the record.
My name is Kent Sasso. My property is located at
I'm sorry, sir.
1660 Illinois Road.
Okay, can you spell your last name for me? I'm sorry.
Sasso, S-A-S-S-O.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. And, I want you to know that I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come here and speak to you people today. I'm here specifically for this reason. I flew back down here from Pennsylvania on Saturday, and I'm tending to my parents. They're both 88 years old up there, so that's why I'm in the position I'm in right now. But I came to Clearwater in '89. I bought my house in '94, and I've been here ever since. I've always paid my taxes. I've taken care of everything. And, I love this place. The city's great. They've done things for me that need to be done, and I don't have to worry about it. But I guess what I want to let you know now is the gravity of this thing with me, and, the simple fact that these code violations, we're not talking about days, we're not talking about weeks, we're not talking about months, and we're not talking about years. We're talking about decades. This has been going on for almost 30 years since I bought the house. And, there's been several neighbors that, have brought up this issue to the code people, and they've been out there looking, and, the only thing I can say to you is that for some reason, nothing's ever happened. I know that, 90% probably of the people that come in front of you with this board to get those letters in the mail for code enforcement, they take care of them, And, this is, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, in my position right now is that I have to sell my property at Illinois Road, okay? And, Yusef, I've been working with Yusef and Mike. Yusef's been through my house. He's seen it. He knows it's in pristine condition. The guys came to work on the cul-de-sac, all, 4 of them young guys. They all came in with their eyes wide open, you know what I mean? But the problem is that people come into my house, they love it, until they walk to the back screen door and look out the screen doors outside the screen porch, and they see the wreck back there. I didn't really see a picture, that shows that shot from the back of my house, but I don't know what else to tell you. It's definitely a hazard. It's a health hazard. The mosquitoes around there in the summertime because of that pool being there, it's ridiculous. And this whole thing is directly affecting the value of my home. And I'm here to try to get something done about it.
Okay. Ken, I thank you for coming today and for letting us know and helping us understand the gravity of the situation, and sorry that it's affecting you not for hours, days, weeks, but decades, as you said. I apologize for that. We'll keep moving forward with this process and see what we can do as a board to grant relief and to move forward and to help both sides. So we thank you for coming today. Does the board have any questions, or the city have any questions for Ken while he's here? No? Okay, great. If you don't mind having a seat, and thank you and good luck with Mom and Dad. Does anyone have questions for Officer Ture while we have him, or do we just want to bring Mr. Priest up?
Well, I'd like to ask you a question. Is anybody living there now?
Who are we asking? Her or?
Our inspector?
Mr. Ture, could you?
Hold on, I'm sorry, I just can't speak for the audience.
Mr. Ture, can you step back up? You don't have any pictures of the backyard and the pool or anything like that, do you?
I don't have it, but Inspector,
Cantrell does. We'll probably see those next. Okay, no problem. And what is your question for?
Someone's living there now? Is
I
there
am not
anyone
sure. I have passed there several times, and I saw her walking out in the yard, but as far as her living in there, I can't vouch for that.
And he mentioned a pool. Is there a pool in the backyard?
You can see an enclosure, but I don't have a picture. I try to take pictures to show whether it's a pool, whether there's water in, but there's no way of me getting it. Even with the zoom lens, I can't see it at all.
And do they have a fence in the backyard? Is there a fence in the backyard, like,
There's a fence that separates, right, the two properties. There's a fence.
whose fence is that?
I'm not sure whose fence that is. That's your, she's answering, she's saying it's a fence.
That's all I have.
Any more questions for Mr. Turre? Yes, ma'am.
The screen, is it damage-free? It does not impose any danger? Like, can someone go in and out of that pool? I would hate for a child to get in through a hole in the screen.
No, from what I've seen, it is enclosed. She can't even let me, I tried to go back there to see, so I can take pictures. She says she lost the key. So nobody goes in and out of there.
Just so the board knows, that'll be part of your next case.
Okay, then we'll move on.
No additional questions? Okay, Mr. Turre, thank you. Mr. Priest, do you mind stepping up here and chatting with us? Thank you so much. It sounds like this has been going on for a little bit at a time. Can you help us as a board understand what's going on?
Yes. I've taken care of my mother with Alzheimer's for 14 years and continued with my grandmother, which was 102 when she passed, and my dad with cancer. So 24 years has put me into an extreme hardship financially, mentally, and as the city knows, when we dealt with this, in order for me to try to come up with the finances, after Daddy died, the property was put up for sale, and I'm still waiting on $5,000 of that, but the sale right now stands at $87,000 for another property that was in Clearwater, behind the law firm, and the city was given 3/4 of that money, over $60,000, to get me caught up with any fines, any liens. I realize that this has been a hardship and a disappointment within myself, but also to my neighbors, but it hasn't been the 30 years. The bird cage fell down years back, but the soffit and fascia was not bad then, because I had a company from Seminole come out, and they did the soffit and fascia and fixed the flat roof on the front of the house. So that part hasn't been that long, but it has totally deteriorated as far as all the wood and everything on the side. I've already gotten estimates from 3 different companies, and I have 2 more coming out. But after getting over 60,000 of the 87, and then my lawyer taking his, it really had not left me anything. I put my cemetery plots up for sale, and I haven't been able to sell them. That will help me to be able to get the soffit and fascia done. And I pretty much lost the month of December because my appendix burst on December 2nd, and they didn't take the drain out until the 29th of December. It's left me weak. I am alone. I am on a fixed income. I have friends that are trying to help me through the media with all this, because I'm not savvy with any of that, and hopefully they will be able to help me get some additional help. I don't know, do you have any
That's
questions?
okay. So you currently,
I would
do
like
you
an
live there
extension.
alone?
I have, now that everything is taken care of, as far as my daddy's, I would really like to be able to focus on this. It's like I live in fear and depression every day, and it's not that I don't want to do it, it's that I haven't been able to.
Okay, I understand. And I understand it's emotional. So your ultimate goal is to fix the house into compliance, stay there and live there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm 4 generations of in Pinellas, kind of in Clearwater. And
Right. Understandable. Any questions from the board?
Do you live there now?
I can stay there, but I also am helping a friend that's going through chemo at the VA, so I am staying away from going anywhere for them and for myself, because after being in the hospital, I've been told that I'm in need of a biopsy, so I don't get out and about.
Well, the house is now empty.
Pardon me?
The house, you are not in the home now, so it's.
I have stayed, I just have parts of the week where I help my friend taking to chemo and then staying there for a couple days after because they don't do well with it. But I am there a lot. I see Yusef a lot. He drives by and he waves, we talk. He knows that I have been working to do what I can do. It's just the rest is going to take finances, and I really wasn't left with any after the sale of the house to get everything all caught up with the fines and everything, giving that to the city and the lawyer. I do plan to keep this as my home.
Okay.
And be able to fix it and be able to live there and finally be free of a lot of the things that has, I don't want to say taking care of my family is any burden, because I wouldn't change any of that, but it has been an extreme hardship.
Understandable. Mr. Fuino, did you?
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Priest, I'd like to clarify for the board some of your testimony today. You talked about how the city took $50,000 of an $86,000 sale. Do you remember that testimony? Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the sale was for a property, if I remember correctly, it has an address of 907 Chestnut, right?
Yes, sir.
And that was a property that used to be owned by your father, correct?
Yes.
And when did your father die?
In 2013.
2014. Now, you didn't open a probate for your father, right?
No, I really am not very knowledgeable about stuff, and it took me quite a long time after going to legal aid that a classmate of mine from Clearwater High School told me of another classmate that could help me.
But after your father died, you were the only heir, if I remember correctly?
Yes.
Okay, so ultimately the property, the 907 Chestnut property went to you. It was your property, right? Okay. Now, I think it was 2017, the 907 Chestnut property received a code enforcement lien, correct?
Yes, for paying.
And that property had almost the same sort of violations as your house does here, right?
Painting and windows.
And do you remember the value of that code enforcement lien was when you settled with the city? Does $510,000 sound correct?
Yes.
Okay. So between the lien you had on this property and the lien you had on your father's prior property, you owed the city almost $1 million, right?
I don't know the exact figures, but I'm sure.
Does that sound about right? Do you have any reason to disbelieve what I'm saying?
Well, I do know that I never got a chance to speak on the behalf of my father's property because I did everything that I was asked to, as far as getting a roll-off brought in to take down his workshop, having another roll-off brought in to do outer landscaping, and then even Terry at the time that was in charge of the code enforcement came out with a different attorney at the time, a very nice gentleman, to my house at Tuscola to let me know that he understood why I didn't want to be able to put the money in that I didn't have to replace all the windows in the 100-year-old house that my grandfather built, and to paint it, because at that time the lawyers out front that we had sold the property to was going to tear it down. So
But you didn't do either, right?
I made that really clear that I wasn't going to be doing it.
So do you remember coming to city council in the fall of 2020 and asking the council to reduce the settlement amount that was, at that time, $50,000 to a lower amount?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember that the reason it was $50,000 was because the settlement on this property that we're here today was original $15,000, but you could not get the property, you would not get the property sold or in compliance within the 150-day time period? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do,
Okay.
and.
So
I
do you
did- I
remember
did
that the
have-
city
I
council?
did-
It's just yes or no question, man. So do you remember that the city council refused to negotiate the $50,000 settlement down any less because you owed the city $1 million in fines? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. And
No
I
further
do
questions.
recall
Thank you very
that
much.
I had the property sold before that date, and all we were waiting for was you all to be able to give the figure on 907 Chestnut Street, and because we did not get that, my buyer backed out, and that was going to be for a whole lot more than I ended up desperately having to sell it to on January 19th to somebody that has gone into the house and taken all the antiques and everything from the home, and that has been very hard on me to lose my grandmother and my father's things to them.
Okay, Ms. Teixeira?
What I'm hearing today is a woman that's had a lot of hardships that span obviously over decades. Perhaps it's time to admit that you simply cannot take care of a property. I'm not questioning your intentions or your motives, but what I see is someone that's incapable of maintaining a property with all the history that you've had and all the tragedies and all the hardships that you've had. Because when I looked at those pictures, it wasn't only structural or painting, or I even see a lot of debris that does not cost a lot to just simply clean. So what I see is a property that whose owner is just unable to take care of it.
Yes, and I can understand you saying that, but you, and I'm happy for you that you have not had to experience the depression, not being able to have the finances to get the medical help as far as being able to come out of this. And that is my goal, now that the other thing has been able now to be behind me. That is all I'm thinking about. So,
I don't think you can achieve that goal.
well, I'm still alive, and believe me, I've worked hard at just being able to do that.
Okay, Mr. Priest, I thank you for helping us better understand, and I'm sorry for what you're going through. Would you do me a favor and grab one of these front seats for us, and let's have the city come back up and give us a recommendation, and we'll move forward with this one to the next one as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just catch your breath and relax for a second.
Recommendation for case 47-21. Number of violations: 1 for exterior surfaces. Compliance on or before April 24, 2021, or a fine of $150 per day the violation continues to exist. We are asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. And compliance can be met for the violation for exterior surface by removing, repairing, or replacing all rotten wood, repainting all repairs made and affected walls.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before April 21st, 2021. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city authorizes to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
Motion is made, seconded. All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. I guess and think motion carries. I think that we're obviously going in the same direction that we've been going for, as the gentleman said, a decade. So, my question is probably for city, what is the plan with this property? If we're putting another deadline, and I think we're probably all in agreement that it's not gonna be met, and we're just tacking on $150 a day that for, even if we say 2 decades, hasn't changed behavior or rectified the situation, what is next for us?
Well, I'll probably refer it back to foreclosure, like I did before, and I would be less inclined, if inclined at all, to recommend to the city council to accept any settlement, which is what I did at the last case, which I hope the questioning clarified. Mr. Priest had a $500,000 lien on the property that I brought down to ultimately $25,000. And it hasn't been fixed, so I would not be inclined to do that again.
Yeah.
And then you'll see from the next case how we'll try to repair the unsafe portion.
Okay, and then just to grant some kind of relief to Ken that came in, is there an estimated time? I know due process is very important, obviously, in your field. Can you give us some relief or understanding of what kind of process this looks like? If we go from here and now we say city council and then it's another.
Well, what you see on the board, and I have all the code inspectors say, is that you authorize 3 months after recording the lien. And that's because that's what's in the statute. So, as the board knows, what we do is we come back on a second time and we ask for the fine. Once we get that order, the city goes and records it in the public records of Pinellas County. It's only 3 months after that day will I have the ability to foreclose. So it's only 3 months after then will I be able to go back to council, ask for authority to sue, and it's only after they grant me that authority. So you wouldn't see anything, if we came back next month, you wouldn't see anything for 4 months from now anyway.
At the earliest?
Yeah.
Right,
And
okay.
that's probably the earliest, and that's really not a realistic timeline, because I would have to bring it before council and everything else.
Right, okay, these things do take time, understandable. Mr. Turre, thank you so much. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, or are you good? Mr. Priest, can you come back up, just so that we can? Yes, ma'am. These are obviously tough on both sides, and I know it's not easy for staff, it's not easy for the city, and I know it's not easy for the board to make decisions like this, because you're obviously emotional, distraught, and you have been going through a lot and had a lot on your plate. However, there are codes, there are rules, there are laws on the books for very important reasons, and they have to be followed. And unfortunately, you're falling into that very scenario where we can feel for you and we're understanding and compassionate, but the ability for us as a board to grant relief beyond this and helping the situation, there's not much that we can do. So do you understand what was determined today? So they said, I think the recommendation was the 24th. I believe it was probably said the 21st is how the motion was made, but I'm not sure if it was recorded that way.
Was it 24?
I wrote 424.
Okay, yeah, I think he said the 21st, but that doesn't, it's not important. They're gonna start more fees, Mr. Priest, and then it's probably gonna go into a point of.
Are we talking about the exterior of the home?
Yeah, just on that portion.
I don't know if you had the paperwork. Yusef and Julie Phillips were kind enough to explain a lot of things when I went down to the city last Wednesday, a week ago, because my original court thing with you was for April, and last Tuesday they changed it and wanted me to sign the paperwork before it was sent to my house regarding moving it up 1 month to today.
Okay.
But I was here before you on April
Okay,
24th.
I understand
Am
that.
I under the understanding that I have until April, something to do the exterior of the
The
house?
24th. Solely regarding the exterior, at the beginning, you decided you wanted to keep these two cases separate, so we're strictly just talking about the exterior of this house. And even given that one extra month, I strongly don't believe that
Are you
anything would have
talking
changed.
1 month from now?
April 24th. So that is exactly 1 month from where you sit today.
Did you all vote for that rather than an extension that I was told I could ask for?
That was all voted for unanimously by the board, so we can move forward with this.
Just do it in that 1 month.
Correct, just the exterior surface is what we're discussing here. Nothing outside of the exterior surfaces of your house.
Right, I don't have anything other than the exterior. I thought that when I had spoken to him, he was just talking about paint and stuff because the soffit and fascia is going to require a lot more money with that.
No problem. He went through and identified in his little presentation of everything that needed to be done in order to be in compliance. So for the issue of time, what I would say is, once we get through with this next one, make sure you get with Torre and figure out exactly what those items are that need to be done within that time frame, so that you're under a better understanding when they say exterior surfaces, what does that mean to you?
Okay.
Fair enough?
Okay, it's just that, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I did not get an extension because talking to them, they told me that I could ask for it myself and to
Yeah.
be able to get that.
Okay. I can't speak for the board, then they're welcome to comment. I think from my even if I think we granted you an extra 30 days or 60 days, we've had 20 to 30 years
yeah.
and multiple properties, and we haven't made any progress. So I think that would be hard for us as a board to keep kicking that can down the road. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Priest. So if you have a seat, it looks like you're coming right back up for this one. We'll move on. Case number 4.14, case 4821, find respondents Patricia DePriest at 1631 Tuscola Road in violation of code for unsafe building, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. And we already had an admission for the second one, or were we doing that totally separate? Okay, so Ms. DePriest, this one, case 4821 we're discussing is now code for an unsafe building. Do you admit to that violation?
It's in reference to the bird cage of the swimming pool because it has fallen down, but the building is not unsafe. I've had people come as far as to do that. So I don't understand what you mean
And
about
when we say unsafe, are we
building.
saying that the residential structure, or are we saying unsafe because there's a pool that's not protected and we're declaring that
It's
unsafe?
the back. Well, I'll let the.
Okay. So they're declaring that bird cage in the pool and the back of the structure to be unsafe?
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Inspector?
Okay, thank you. So you do admit, just for the record?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Mr. Priest, if you have a seat?
Right,
Yes.
if we do the first motion, then.
Perfect. If we can have a first motion, board?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
I'll second it.
Motion is made, seconded. All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Mr. Cantrell?
Good afternoon, Jason Cantrell, Building Inspector, City of Clearwater, and we're here again for 1631 Tuscola Road. Here we have one violation of an unsafe structure. It is just in reference to the pool cage in the back. Citing code sections 3-1502A for property maintenance requirements and section 3-1503B2 for a public nuisance. Notice of violation was sent certified and first-class mail on February 12th of this year. A second notice was sent along with a notice of hearing for March's hearing date on March 11th of this year. That was sent to the owner and both attorneys that were handling her foreclosure. Certified mail was not received. An affidavit of posting for the notice of violation and today's hearing was done on that same day, March 11th of this year. And then Inspector Toure did the affidavit of service and personally served Mr. Priest on 3/17 of this year. Compliance date was from the date of the receipt of the notice, 7 days to obtain any necessary permits, and 20 days to complete the work. This property is off of Lake Avenue. It is between Lakeview and Druid Road. As you've seen before, this is just an overview of the front of the home, just to give you an idea. And this is the area of concern. You could see the pool cage is in disrepair. The screens are gone. The top is collapsed. It's in pretty bad shape. And there's just another photo of that.
Have a question?
Question?
Is it required to have a screen in that area, or is a fence enough to protect the pool?
You can ask the assistant building official, but I believe in this case, due to the age of the pool, that the fence, or the bird cage is not required. There is a fence, all around the property, the fence is locked, but I believe that's the understanding.
Is there water in the pool?
It appears there is.
Good water?
I'm sorry?
Good water, is it clean?
I would say no.
It looks
Doesn't
pretty
appear to
dark
be.
from that picture. So the question is about is safety. Obviously, it's unsafe, and if somebody,
Correct.
this fence you're taking a picture at looks like it's less than 4 feet tall, right?
Correct.
Pretty easy to get over if somebody needed to, and unfortunately, that's what deems this unsafe, is
Correct.
somebody, a kid, unfortunately, like Ms. Teixeira says, wanders on the property or climbs a fence like kids do.
Yep.
Somebody slips and falls in there, and it gets much worse.
Correct.
Okay. Board, is there any additional questions?
So, there's a question, if they remove the bird cage, would the fence suffice as security for the pool?
Yes.
Has Ms. DePriest been understanding of that as far as what would fix this issue for her?
No, actually, I have not spoken with Mr. Priest. Unfortunately, I haven't heard from her until this past week, and we briefly spoke on the phone, and we weren't able to connect since, but I'd be happy to explain what needs to be done.
And like the gentleman just asked, if that pool cage is removed, is it allowed as a pool to stay in the condition of that where it almost looks like a koi pond?
I think I would have to refer that question to Mr. Peaslick. I don't believe that that would fall as under an unsafe. I'm not sure that.
We had this similar a couple years ago, I remember, and I believe the gentleman was actually granted relief by the board, but he was completely taking care of it at that point as a pond, and he had the correct filtration systems, and he had, I mean, it was almost a daily treatment that he was given it that declared it that, and this almost is the complete opposite of that. It's not.
And Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I can't remember the exact code, but there is something under section 3-1503 that deals with nuisances that says like black water or something in a pool is declared a nuisance. So the short answer to your question would be no.
That's what I think. So it would be not just remove that pool cage, completely drain, because if it's an empty shell of a pool with no pool cage, does it pass?
Actually, I believe there is another code section on that too, that you couldn't keep it empty like that. I thought that's what came up in that other case.
Yeah, he was almost keeping it as a koi pond in several feet of water, if I remember correctly. Gotcha, okay. Is there any additional questions from the board for Mr. Cantrell?
Would this be, under the motions, would it be under the unsafe buildings?
Correct.
On page 4? Okay.
Correct. While we have you here, will you give us your recommendation so we don't go back and forth, if you don't mind?
For compliance to be met for the unsafe structure, repair or replace any areas where deterioration or damage exists to meet current Florida building codes. Complete demolition of the structure is also an option for compliance, and all work must be properly permitted. If she is removing the pool cage, she will not need a permit for that.
Okay,
Only for repairs.
good to know. Nor to drain that many gallons of water, no permit needed as well.
No, but there's environmental issues she would have to
That's my
make sure
question.
she's Following.
You can't just run a hose into your neighbor's yard and drain a pool.
That question is, I'm not
Yeah.
qualified to answer that.
That makes
one, but
sense.
I don't believe so.
Okay, and is there a timeline for us that the city's suggesting?
There is, city is requesting compliance on or before April 24th, 2021, or a fine of $150 per day that the violation continues to exist. We're asking the board to authorize the city of Clearwater to enter onto the property to correct the violation by any means necessary, and any reasonable cost to be applied as liens against the property. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Priest, do you mind stepping back up? Okay, do you understand with this unsafe backyard
Yes, I
on
do.
what we need to do to rectify it?
Yes, I do. I don't feel that the allotted time would be sufficient, and I do want to be able to do this, but I want it to be able to be something that I can honestly have as a goal than to feel like I no longer have counsel, and they told me that that this was a really hard thing for them because, and I don't want to say that the city doesn't care, but this is all that I have left, and I would like to be able to accomplish this, but not if I don't have anything to work with.
Right.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I've had a property like this once before, one of my rental properties had a cage, it was bad, and the simple solution I had was I just called a company and said they would salvage it, they took it away for free. And that's probably the best solution for you. If your backyard is secured so your pool is safe, and you meet the obligation, you can have somebody within 30 days just to take away that aluminum. That's a great salvage for them, but it's no use to you right now. It's all destroyed, looks like, in the pictures.
And I understand that, and I already had a couple people come out. They weren't willing to do the salvage part, and they wanted to charge me. I was hoping this last Saturday or Sunday that I had these two gentlemen that talked to me about doing it as salvage, but they weren't able to come this last weekend because of other work they were doing. I realize that that part can be done, but I just feel I need longer to be able to accomplish this because I am doing this by myself.
So what are you requesting? If 30 calendar days isn't enough to have somebody come out and take away that aluminum that does have value in it, as the gentleman said, the aluminum.
But that's only that part. In order to meet the other part,
to drain
get
the
it all
pool.
cleared, yes, and it's already been a little bit drained. I did check into stuff so that I know that I didn't need a permit to have these people come out and to take it down. And that they would leave the white part up that the rest of the bird cage is attached to. I don't know if you could see that. It was white aluminum or whatever.
You want to keep that up?
Yes.
And
Just as a border, for
what?
For the pool area.
Gotcha.
Because that originally was up, and then the bird cage was there.
I mean, and then you're probably getting to issues of it needs to be cleaned and it needs to be, so you're going to have to put more time and money. I think we're just band-aiding solutions that we're going to get to the same result at some point.
And I'm saying that now with other issues being cleared from my life, I can put my efforts into one thing instead of being so divided as I was, for
Gotcha.
so many years before.
I mean, my fear board is that even if we granted more time and she had somebody come out within a month and tear a bird cage down and haul it off and then the pool gets drained, I think then you're going to find out that just leaving an empty pool is not legal either, and then now we're just reintroducing a problem.
My neighbors up the hill have an empty pool. They're behind me down the street, and they have it covered, and as far as I know,
covered.
Covered.
Yeah, like a safe cover where a 250-pound man could walk on it and have no issues. There's another cost and
A
another
regular
job that
pool
we're,
cover.
right. Yeah. So I think you're gonna find as you continue to go down this step, it's gonna get, it's still gonna be more issues that you have to solve, unfortunately, that aren't gonna happen to rectify the situation. Board, does anybody else have any comments or? Okay, we can have a second motion if we, or, yes, sir.
Another thing, is the bird cage attached to the other fence, the smaller fence? Are they attached?
It's part of it, though,
The cage is,
yeah,
It's
Part of
on
the board,
top of
it's,
board.
it's the, yeah, it's part of
The
it.
white surrounding part is separate, yet the bird cage part, the aluminum coming up on the sides can be cut level to the white part.
so cut is the.
But it is part of it, yeah, it's part of the structure, but what she's saying is she was hopes that it could be, sawzalled off and cut at that 3.5, 4 foot level, take the top part off and leave
Right.
what's the broken border around it,
It's
which,
not needed.
right.
It's not needed.
You are not using it right now. You're not underneath that caved-in structure.
No,
So it's an endangerment to you yourself. I look at it and I would not be underneath that structure.
well, I
If I'm
have,
not
but I
like
mean,
that.
I hear what you're saying, but, it will be coming down, so it's not been a danger to me.
Well, I completely understand that, and if you never walk out there, it's out of sight, out of mind, it's never in danger for you.
Right.
But the problem is, it could be dangerous for others, and it could be dangerous for kids, and it could be dangerous for somebody that comes over and visit a neighbor's house, and their troublesome 12-year-old climbs the fence to look at your trees and the craziness back there, and now we lost a child. So there is concern
And
of safety.
I'm saying I totally
Right.
understand that,
Gotcha.
and I will get it taken care of.
Fair enough.
Board, we can have a second and move on. I'm not, yeah,
Second motion?
Yeah.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before April 24th. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day for each day the violation continues to exist, and the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property, to bring the property into compliance and charge a respondent with all costs, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
I'll second that.
motion and made and seconded. All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, so if this is a goal that you truly want to set for yourself, I think you have 30 calendar days to start the process. The city is compassionate. Maybe you're not feeling it right now, but I think others that would look from the outside and say 20 and 30 years is probably more compassion than their patience
And I understand
would allow.
that,
So I
but-
think within the 30 days, do your best on your side to try to work towards meeting that goal. It's a good goal for yourself, and hopefully you can render the situation by removing that bird cage, whether you cut it at the short part or not, getting the water cleaned and drained and covered so that it becomes safe. I just pray that in the meantime, for the next 30 days, that a child doesn't mysteriously wander on there, because that would be terrible and a disaster in the situation. But we are compassionate, we do feel for you, and we wish you nothing but the best in resolving this issue and moving forward.
I really truly was led, though, to believe that I would be able to get some kind of an extension, not just the 30 days. And I do want to express to you that when I came before council, because I feel he's still upset with me before that, when I had said I had wanted to, they hired an outside attorney, even though I'm very proud of the attorneys that we already have, very capable attorneys,
Yes, ma'am.
to deal with me rather than them, because people, even my attorney had said, this way they don't have to be liable for trying to take your home away, because
Right.
they don't want to look like that as far as the city. But they were upset that I came to literally fight for what I had left when I appeared there because that attorney that they hired had told me that I would be able to do that, and then yet everybody seemed upset that I came.
Right. I understand. Mr. Priest, here's what we're going to do. I ask you to open all communication lines with the city, and whether it's Youssef, whether it's Mr. Cantrell, and find out for sure what exactly it is you need to do, because I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that there's not a permit attached to this process.
Actually, yes, I just wanted to clarify that for the record. If Mr. Priest takes down the birdcage, she will need a permit.
She will need a permit. So, and then if you're discussing draining it and trying to put a cover, I'm sure there's.
I apologize. Maybe perhaps Inspector Cantrell should.
Mr. Cantrell, would you step up, Mr. Priest, if you don't mind? That way we can understand.
I just wanted to clarify, if she's removing the bird cage completely, it will not need a permit, but if she's just cutting a portion off and leaving a portion, she's going to need a permit for that.
Gotcha, okay.
I just wanted to clarify.
No, and thank you for the clarification. Mr. Priest, just real quick so we can move on because we have some unfinished business to keep moving forward with. Keep those lines of communication open. The city is more, and as we saw, you were sitting here for the beginning, the first, I think we came out of the gate with 7 or 8 straight declarations, and that shows that staff is working hard to resolve things without burdening you with fines and taking your home. That's not what they want to do, and that was evident in the beginning of this. So whether it's a date of April 24th or it's June or July, you have 30 days to start working forward, getting things done. If you need permits, pull them, start the process, and the city will work with you the best they can, and the board wants to work with you, but you have to show something on your end that's helping us and helping your neighbors, because this has been going on for quite a while. So I wish you the best in moving forward and in your situation and with the home, because the last thing we want to do is see you lose that home, okay? Thank you, ma'am. Moving on, unfinished, are you good? Unfinished business, agenda item 5. Can we accept these affidavits of compliance as a whole?
Yes.
Move to accept the affidavits of compliance as listed.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Affidavit of non-compliance. Is there anybody here to speak to any of the cases left? Which would be 5.2, 5.3, 5.5? No? Okay, board, so we can make a motion to accept affidavits of non-compliance for 5.2, 5.3, and 5.5. Are we good with that, staff?
I move to accept the affidavit of non-compliance and issue an order that imposes fines and states if fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
I second that.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Is this gentleman here for a certain case?
That's what Julie was just checking.
No? Okay, just spectating today? Okay, perfect. Is there any other agenda items for the board? No? Awesome, all right. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Ladies.